If you are managing GitHub Actions, you should try Nektos Act for local running your GitHub Actions. You will be faster and you won't need to spend any GitHub CI minutes. Act is a command line tool that runs GitHub Actions locally. It uses Docker containers to simulate GitHub Actions runner environment. You can do most types of testing with Act. You can simulate events like push-pull requests, even manual dispatches with user inputs, but Act has its limitations. It only supports Linux runners, so if you need a Windows or macOS, you can run it, but you need to be on a Windows or macOS machine. And the matrix and artifact jobs can also be problematic. All of the code examples that I'll show you in this video are also in GitHub repository, link is in the description. And if you like my video, subscribe to my channel. Back to Act, download Nektos Act for your operating system and let's go through the basic commands. Some of the basic commands when you have Nektos installed: list all workflows that you have. You can run a single job by just specifying its name. You can see an example hello world job that's named say hello. And you can also run an entire workflow. By the way, if there's a same name job in multiple workflows, it will run all of them. And you can specify path to your workflow. Okay, let's say I have multiple jobs. Let's say this job depends on say hello. I want to run all of the jobs in this workflow, so I will point it to the workflow. As you see, it runs all of the jobs. But what if I wanted to send a user input? I usually do when I have workflow dispatch event. Then there's this simple event, and it is the say hello, and you can pass an input by name. My name is Anna, and he will say hello Anna. You can also do, if it's not a workflow that acts only on workflow dispatch, it can also be a push. And as you can see, it runs all of the workflows that are dependent on push events. If you want to pass a secret, this is an example workflow that uses a single secret. The job's name is hello to secret. You can pass a secret name inline. But what if I have many secrets? This is not very useful. I want to pass it from a file. I'll create an env file and it will be, and I can now point instead of the inline, I can pass the env file. And it works just the same. If I didn't pass anything, well, it wouldn't log anything. If your workflow specifies artifacts, they can be tricky. You would use artifacts when you want to share some data between jobs, because they are run in isolation from each other. When you want to run a workflow that specifies artifacts, you need to point to artifact path, and this one will store in the root of the project, and this will store artifacts in the directory artifacts. Doesn't need to exist, Act will create it. If you don't specify the artifact path, it will just not work correctly. You will get this error. You can also run matrices. I usually run matrices for different node versions, but you can run maybe for different flavors of your project or whatever. Matrices are very useful, and this kind of workflow will work. There's also a limitation with matrix. I will show it after I showcase this simple job. This worked successfully, but what if your matrices take up same port? Then you will get a port conflict. For example, matrix port conflict, let's look at this. This one runs Nginx and they both take up the same port. This will just not work. because all of the jobs share the same network namespace. Something to keep in mind. As you can see, I got the failure setting up the job in the instance 1. You can also run a job that depends on another service. In this example, I have a simple server setup that depends on Postgres database. My server is simple. It's set over here. It uses Express start and serves a single route that checks the health of the Postgres database. This job depends on the Postgres service to already be running, so you can create. Well, the same applies to GitHub Actions. You can run jobs that depend on a service. Job's name is testdb. And that's it. At the beginning of this video I mentioned that Act works out of the box with Linux runners. If you need a macOS runner or Windows runner, well, tough luck. You can run macOS if you're already on macOS. So there's a macOS simple workflow. It doesn't matter what's the job, but it matters that it uses the macOS runner. You can run it, but you need to self-host it. This covers my usage of Act. At some point Act will create so many Docker containers that you'll run out of space, so you need to prune Docker every once in a while. And thanks for watching.